Hello everyone, welcome to Tactica Imperialis and to today's video. Today is going to be another my thoughts on, and today I want to talk about two sets of reveals that we got this week. I want to talk about GenCon, because obviously GenCon happened on Thursday, but we also got the Warhammer 40,000 preview on Saturday night. Now, I did do a live stream reaction to the reveals from Saturday, the Warhammer 40k preview, and I will link that in the description below because I'll put that out last night. So I recorded it Saturday, put it out Sunday, and you can watch it now. But I've had a bit of time to think in between doing that stream where you have live reactions and it can be a bit more visceral as a reaction as opposed to a collected, actual, reasonable response. So I wanted to talk about it again and maybe give a bit more of a longer form discussion as opposed to just see it, initial impression, get talky. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about both in full. So let's start off with GenCon, since GenCon happened first, and let's begin. So first off, as you can see, we have Aeronautica Imperialis. Oh, why has that happened? That shouldn't have happened. It doesn't matter. I wasn't going to play the trailer anyway. I'm just going to skip past the video. I don't know why that didn't load in my browser. Sorry about that. So, Aeronautica Imperialis. We saw the first tease for this, I think, at Warhammer Fest? I think it was Warhammer Fest where we got the first tease that Aeronautica was coming. And we now get to see its name. Wings of Vengeance is going to be the first boxed game, the sort of starter set for this game. And it has hex-based movement, very small fleets of aircraft, and it's going to be another one of those games that you can play very quickly, on the go, as opposed to a longer form game. So again, it's giving people who don't have much time ways to explore the hobby in more ways. Games like Warcry, Kill Team, Underworlds to an extent, Blackstone Fortress perhaps, and now Aeronautica are really leaning into the quick play aspect of the hobby and trying to expose more people to the hobby by letting them play it quickly. So what do we get? We get some absolutely lovely looking models. We're going to get everything on one pitch here. Yes, we are. So there's our board. It's got its hexes on it, though you can't really see it at this distance. And you're going to get 4 Imperial fighters and 5 Orc fighters. You can see them here. So you've got Thunderbolts, you've got fighter bombers, Dakar jets. I don't recognize every Imperial aircraft because I'm not super up on my Imperial aircraft, I'm afraid. But I suspect you'll probably get a Marauder bomber. Maybe are they going to be like Vendettas or Valkyries? They're not Valkyries. I'm not quite sure what they are, in all truth. Though someone who knows their Imperial fleets can let me know in the comments exactly what we're working with here. So as you can see, it's a very small number of miniatures, and they're designed by the Titanicus team. So very small miniatures, but also very high detail, because that's something the Titanicus team have proven they can do by bringing the Titans down for Titanicus, which is good. And they also say that they're going to be supporting this range for years. They talk about expansions, plenty of expansions, in fact. If I just scroll down a little bit further. So it says you'll have ongoing support and expansions that bring new challenges, so hopefully new races. I'm hoping we'll get to see new environments or environmental rules. So maybe your battle takes place in a lightning storm. Maybe your battle takes place on a demon world and you have a warp storm going on. Maybe it's during a Tyranid invasion if you're fighting with a Tyranid fleet and you get different battlefield effects that come from that. Hopefully as well you'll have the ability to upgrade some of your fighters. So you have a point system maybe, and you can unlock a commander who's a fighter ace maybe. I look forward to seeing what Aeronautica does. Unfortunately, I have no idea if I'm going to play it because, as I say so often with these expansion games, games like Titanicus and Underworld, is am I going to have time, am I going to have funds, and am I going to have opponents? I've now got funds, or I'm going to have funds to be able to get all these little sub-games, and I've got space to do it. It's just, am I going to have the time to do it on top of my main games, and am I going to have people to play against? And the answer is I simply don't know. So it's another one of those games where I love the miniatures and I like the fact that the game exists, but I don't know if I'm going to play it, which is a little bit disappointing, but here we are. However, there is more, of course. We have Beast Grave. This is the Underworld's Season 3. So we saw the first teasers for this at the Age of Sigmar Open Day just last week, the week before. It was not that long ago we had the AOS Open Day. So we now get to see exactly what's going on in here. Again, I don't know why the videos are not loading. So here's the new box game. You can see here we've got those centaur-like miniatures, and as it turns out, they are a brand new race. So let's go down a little further. And we have, first off, this team. They are called Grash Rax Despoilers, a Beasts of Chaos team. So we've got Gores, Ungores, and a Great Bray Shaman, which is, of course, a wizard character, which is kind of nice because the Beastmen is either you have a Beast Lord, who is very, very, very powerful for the context of Underworlds, or you have a Great Bray Shaman, who is a caster but not so powerful in melee. So this is really good to see that the Beastmen are getting an update, and this is the one thing I love about Underworlds. I said it in the AOS Open Day video as well. Adding in teams to Underworlds gives us the first look into what races look like when they get updated. So we got our first look into what the Moon Clan and what goblins look like in the Age of Sigmar through Zarbag's Gits. We got the first look into the Beast of Chaos here, thanks to these Despoilers. And many other races have appeared in Underworlds, sometimes even before they've shown up in the base game. And that's really, really cool to see. In this case, this is after the fact. But our other team, the Wild Hunt, as they are known. Let's just scroll down a little bit here. I've scrolled a little too far. Well done, me. Skaith's Wild Hunt brings us a first look at the Kenothi, or Kenothi, whatever. I think it's Kenothi, so I prefer to say it. Elf-like creatures with a savage style of their own. And oh, these miniatures. Look at that! So we get to see our little lion cat friend, who we saw many moons ago in another preview. And we get to see the centaur miniature, the archer miniature that we saw, as well as these two new ones, the hornblower, and I'm assuming that will possibly be, well, I'm assuming the centaur will be the champion, but this sort of melee character. And I just love these models. Because we've seen, or we think with Cities of Sigmar now, that they're going to rotate Wanderers out of the game. According to Last Chance to Buy on GW's website, which may still be up in your neck of the woods, it's pretty much gone in the UK now. There was a huge long list of order units that went on Last Chance to Buy. A lot of Dispossessed, a little bit of Free Peoples, a little bit of Swift Hawk Agents, Lion Rangers went, and Wanderers in particular, a lot of the Wanderers range went Walkabout. So, what the now consensus is that the Kenothi are going to replace the Wanderers. The Wanderers are only going to keep a couple of units, if any, and they'll go into cities. So like the Sisters of the Watch, the Sisters of the Thorn perhaps, will stay inside cities, or maybe they'll get pulled across into this faction, and the Kenothi will be the elven Wood Elves faction going forward. And someone said on Twitter, and I love this comparison, that these guys are the fauna to the Sylvaneth's flora, and that really works for me. I like this idea. Whereas the Sylvaneth come from the realm of life, the Kenothi seem to hail primarily from the realm of beasts, which is a really nice change of pace. I very much approve, and I love these miniatures. And I can't wait to see the full range, because if this is what they can do for an Underworlds team, imagine what diversity we're going to get in an actual range. Are we going to see fawn-like creatures? Are we going to see like centaur champions as well as like basic centaur cav? Are they going to have traditional cavalry or not? They're going to have hunting beasts, obviously. We've seen this little lion creature. What are they going to be like? How will they play? I can't wait. I really like the Kenothi. And I know I have an elves bias, so I'm always going to think that. But it's just brilliant. I can't wait. Bring it on whenever they come along for the base game. Gee, I say fawn-like creature. They all have the fawnish hooves. What am I on about? Well done, me. And if you're wondering about the name, by the way, that's linked to Kurnoth, the god of the hunt back for the elven deities back in the day. So, like the Idoneth have Matlin, the daughters have Cain, and the Sylvaneth have Alariel. Kurnoth and Orion would probably be the gods / entities that the Kenothi will venerate, even if they are dead. So, in terms of why we're in Beastgrave and not Shadespire, basically the Curse of the Cataphragms has sort of leaked, which is interesting. Got some lovely artwork here. And then we are, damn it, I'd love to show you the bloody screen here, but the video's not working. So, we have a Lizardmen Blood Bowl team. The Guacamole Crater Gators. It's some skinks, it's some Saurus, it's in Blood Bowl, it's got a giant pile of puns. I very much approve. Yay. I won't go through this much because I don't play Blood Bowl, but they do look great. Love the miniatures, and it's good to see that little bit of fun in Blood Bowl again, because that's something they don't always do with Blood Bowl. Particularly the modern Blood Bowl, is that as much as there is that sort of humour with Blood Bowl, some of it has kind of been a little bit lost in some places. So, well, it feels like it from a surface impression. So, seeing the puns back front and centre, very much approve of that. So that's GenCon. A very, very good set of reveals there. Obviously, nothing for the main games because, well, why would there be? But honestly, very much approve of what we got at GenCon. Beastgrave looks brilliant and gives great insight into what's coming for Sigmar. If we see the new Beastmen miniatures, we now know what they're going to look like. And the Kenothi open up so many possibilities, and I can't wait to see what they actually do with the Kenothi. Aeronautica looks like fun. Don't know if I'll play it, but it definitely does look like fun. I might just go down to G-Dubs and play it one time. And it's good to see more Blood Bowl teams. And the Lizardmen are an old established favourite of Blood Bowl. So, welcome back. Just wish I had some Kor'sarro, I suppose. But that's kind of probably not what most of you are here for, because that was a lot longer ago. Let's go now to the Warhammer 40,000 preview. So some of you may have already seen my initial thoughts on this, but if you have, don't worry. Some of it has slightly tweaked based on what I've seen since. So, Codex Space Marines. This is a thing. We shouldn't be surprised that this is a thing, but it is a thing. So, Chaos Space Marines, after Shadow Spear, when they got the Demonkin, had to have the Demonkin rolled into their book, and they did. Some people call it like the 2.0 Codex. It updated everything and brought the Chaos Space Marines into line. And now they're doing the same thing for the Adeptus Astartes because they kind of have to. They added all these Primaris Vanguard units and they've got to go somewhere. So that's what they're doing. The animated trailer is pretty cool. It's nothing super special, but it is nice. And you can tell they put some effort into making it happen. But what's most interesting is that we're getting new miniatures this time to go along with our codex. Unlike in the Chaos Codex where, okay, we got Abaddon, but I think that's all we got. Here we're getting not just Shadow Spear, but we're getting brand new units and upgraded Primaris characters. 2 of them, in fact. So, Chief Librarian Tigurius and Kor'sarro Khan of the White Scars have crossed the Rubicon Primaris and become Primaris Marines, and here they are. Tigurius. Now, when I saw this on stream, my initial reaction was, ew. I really didn't like this miniature when I saw it at first. And I still am not a huge fan of it. It looks fine. The pose is very Tigurius because there's a piece of artwork of him with his staff out like that, eyes blazing. It's a very Tigurius pose. It just doesn't do anything for me. The banner looked like it came straight out of 3rd edition, just in more detail. And the face and the head just don't work for me. Now, granted, this might just be the angle that the photo was taken at. If you watch the trailer for the Codex, where they actually show the miniatures off, some of the other angles on Tigurius do look quite nice. Not like change the world levels of nice, but nice enough. So, is it terrible? No. Is it great? Also no. It's just kind of there. Compared to Primanius Calgar, it's no Primanius Calgar, and it's no Kor'sarro Khan. Look at this! Maybe, I think this is the reason why, after seeing Tigurius, we just went, ew, Tigurius sucks. And it just feels like it isn't of the same quality, because look at this Khan model! Like, Kor'sarro Khan was just dude with mustache and a great sword. That's all he was before. And granted, he had the bike options and he had some nice fluff. I've done the lore video on him. But his miniature wasn't anything that special. This miniature is special. This miniature will stand out and really look brilliant. And it's the first White Scars miniature we've had in years for 40k. I think the last one was Kor'sarro himself in his 5th edition form back when he was in metal. So, yeah, this feels to me like a proper huntmaster, a proper champion of a tribal society. It feels like that to me. You've got the totem pole with the skulls on top from his best victims. You've got the head that he just claimed with his sword, Moonfang. I think it's called Moonfang. You've got this cyber eagle, because it does have a little bionic eye. And the thing's like 5 foot tall. Yes. So much yes. This miniature is brilliant. Like, I don't even play Space Marines. Certainly I don't play Primaris Marines. And I love this miniature, and I'd go and get this miniature just to make an army. Unfortunately, the one catch is he's a White Scar Primaris. That means he can't have a bike, he can't have a jet bike, and he can't have a land speeder. So he doesn't have any of the fast stuff that makes White Scars, and that's a shame. But can't deny, fabulous miniature, and they've done a really good job there. And it gives me hope that if they decide to Calgarize or Primarisize Volcanistan, Petrocantor, Commander Dante, and so on and so on and so on, they can do a really good job. But then you look at Tigurius, and they kind of felt like they phoned it in. So, I don't know. It's a real mixed bag, and I think that's sort of my overwhelming feeling of this preview. It was a bit of a mixed bag. But we must move on. Then we got this thing, and oh, this thing divided opinion. Or maybe it was just me. This is the Invictor Tactical Warsuit. It's a stealth dreadnought that's also not a dreadnought because its pilot's alive. It can set up in concealed deployment. It can pistol whip you with a heavy bolter. And it's got more stubbers and a missile rack. And I don't know. Again, I saw this miniature the first time. At first glance, I looked at it and I went, what? And I was just, ew, that looks awful. But the more I look at it, the more I'm okay with it. Again, I'm okay with it. Is it as good as most dreadnoughts? No. Is it probably blatantly ripping off Avatar and Alien in terms of its design? Maybe. Slightly. A little bit. Certainly if you gave it 2 melee weapons, it would look like it came straight out of Alien 3. Or is it Alien? It's one of the Alien movies. But I understand what they're going for. I understand the idea that the Vanguard Space Marines need some heavy fire support that is quite stealthy, because the jump back autocannon dudes are probably not that stealthy. So this stealth tactical war suit that provides them with a bit of melee punch and a bit of heavy firepower and fire support, as well as some good armor, is actually a good idea for them. I don't know. Something about it annoys me. It might be that it's taken design cues so blatantly from other sources. It might be because it's a deconstructed dreadnought with a living pilot, so it's not actually a dreadnought, and that kind of bugs me. I don't know. But it's cool, but I also don't want anything to do with it. It's a weird one, and I don't know where I stand on this. I like the idea of a stealth dreadnought, because I play Tau. Stealthy, big, bulky things can work, because I play Tau. I know this with Ghost Keels. But it just doesn't do anything for me. Like, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. I really don't. But there's more. We're not even done. So, all the Primaris Vanguard units from Shadowspear are going to get their own kits, and there'll be new weapon options as well. So, Eliminators get a new option called the Lance Fusil, because that was on their Apocalypse datasheet, and somebody noticed and went, somebody noticed. So, there's going to be some Eliminators, the Infiltrators, the Jump Back dudes whose names I've forgotten, the Primaris Librarian, and there is another Primaris Lieutenant as well. But they're also giving us, for the first time properly, a Primaris transport, which is this thing. So we had the Repulsor, now we have the Impulsor. And again, opinions are divided on this. We looked at it, and again, it looked to me as though someone took a Rhino, chopped it in half, stuck on a land speeder, and kind of called it a day. Just stuck some anti-grav plates underneath, and they called it a day. So it kind of feels like a bit of lazy design. On the other hand, it's a Primaris transport that also comes with a big gun, and we see in the trailer it also has a missile rack option, so it can be a pretty potent weapon as well. So maybe instead of thinking of this like a Rhino, we should think about it like a Razorback, but we don't know its transport capacity yet, so I can't be sure. So it's, again, it's all right. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with it, but it's not like the Konothi miniatures we saw 10 minutes ago, where I just go, oh my god, these are amazing. Or Kor'sarro Khan that we saw 2 minutes ago, which is just, oh my emperor, this is amazing. This doesn't do it for me. And I think that's... Is that just me? Do I have a problem with transport vehicles? Because I'm one of the few people who still kind of can't make their mind up on the blooming Scorpius either, the Mechanicus transport. I don't know. It's fine, but it's not gonna change the world. Although it is, because it's giving Primaris transport, so maybe it'll see a ton of play. I don't know. I have nothing against it, but I wouldn't go and buy one myself. That's sort of what I keep coming back to with this. There's the Primaris Lieutenant, some Eliminators, some Infiltrators. They are actually slightly different designs, so the Primaris Lieutenant in particular looks cool. Well done. And then we get the Codex. We knew this was coming. Well, we expected this was coming. But what they've done, as well as giving it some really old school artwork that really reminds me of the 5th edition artwork, if you look at the colour scheme and the Ultramarine standing tall at the top and all that jazz, all the data sheets in the book will be available to all first founding chapters and their successors. So that means that there is not going to be a situation like we had in the first half of 8th edition, where Space Marines had certain units, and the Dark Angels and the Space Wolves and the Blood Angels didn't have them. So, for example, Centurions, I think, were one of the most notable ones that were missing from a lot of the other first founding books. If you didn't have the main codex, you couldn't use Centurions, and I'm sure there were many other options too. Not to worry, everyone gets everything now. And that's good, because variety is good, but it also means that the range is becoming more homogenized, as in, what's going to make every chapter unique from every other chapter? Well, GW was one step ahead of me on that, and they had a plan. Dun, 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 dun. Supplements are back, and oh, okay. So, every Legion is getting a supplement. There's 6 here, which is going to be Ultramarines, White Scars, Iron Hands, Imperial Fist, Raven Guard, and Salamanders. Almost certainly. It will be the big 6, and then the Dark Angels, the Blood Angels, the Space Wolves get their own codex, so they get their own rules anyway. So, we don't quite know what the main codex is going to have in terms of chapter tactics, relics, warlord traits, and the like, and what is going to be locked behind the supplement paywall, we're not quite sure. So what they are saying is that you're going to get additional chapter-specific data sheets and thematic rules that emphasize their heritage and the legacy of their Primarch. On paper, this is brilliant, and I'm not against the idea. Supplements back in 7th and 6th edition were really cool because they gave you more lore and they gave you unique ways to play. The Farsight Enclave supplement, for example, was my bread and butter. Clan Rokan, interesting lore. The Sentinels of Terror basically gave me another lore video for Darnath Lysander. You had the Legion of the Damned supplement. You had the Crimson Slaughter supplement, which was awesome. The Yandan supplement. You had loads of War Gazkul, another fantastic supplement. Supplements were great, but they were stuck in 7th edition, which had its own set of problems, and I'll get onto that in a minute. So, I ain't got a problem with supplements. And seeing them get unique chapter-specific options, unique units, probably unique specialist detachments like they had in the Vigilus books. I suspect we'll get extra Warlord options, extra Relic options, unique stratagems, obviously. But I'm just curious what that means for the main codex. Is it going to go back to every Space Marine in the Space Marine Codex performs the same. And if you want to be a first founding legion, you have to buy a supplement. Because if that's the case, that's just farming money off people to be dicks. And if you want to really find the meta, you now have 8 books to play with just for Codex Space Marines. And that's expensive and that's annoying. So, again, mixed bag. Love the idea, not a problem with the idea, just not sure about the execution at this stage. However, there's one more thing. Something that, again, is two more things actually, sorry, I forgot one thing. So, another thing is all Space Marines are getting a unique special rule that is going to be rolled in with They Shall Know No Fear and Bolt of Discipline. It's going to be summed up in the Angels of Death ability. And this means all Space Marines get +1 attack in the first round of combat. Charging, gets charged, heroic intervention, you get +1 attack in the round of combat. Cool. Not a problem with that on paper, because Primaris need a reason to fight in melee. It really benefits things like assault squads, assault centurions, and it means that if your units get charged as Space Marines, you're not utterly boned, because you might actually stand a chance of doing some damage with that Intercessor Sergeant who you have a power sword on just for emergencies. So, no complaints there. However, they've also given it to all Astartes. So, Deathwatch, Grey Knights, they're getting it, obviously. But they're also giving it to the Heretic Astartes, and oh, okay. World Eaters get this. Renegades get this. Black Legion get this. Death Guard get this. Emperor's Children get this. That could be quite terrifying. World Eaters in particular, I think a lot of us were talking about on the stream last night. That's terrifying. So now World Eaters actually become a viable build? Maybe? If it does, I'm not complaining. So, cool. Cool idea. We'll see how balanced it is going forward. They might need to tweak it. We shall see. However, there's even more. We're not even done. The final thing for this codex, I think, yes, the last thing for this codex is custom chapters. So, kind of like Knight Freeblades, you can build your own chapters with their own unique chapter tactics. So you get a big long list of chapter tactics, you pick 2, and that is what your chapter does. Oh boy, the meta's gonna have fun with this. This book is going to take about a month before people know what's actually viable, because the amount of chapter tactics you get is probably going to be an absolute ass load. You'll probably have to pick one upside and one downside, so sort of, oh, they are exclusively Primaris, so they can only take Primaris units. That's the downside. On the upside, they've got a refined gene seed. I don't bloody know. Maybe they're really vicious killers, but that means they suffer from bloodlust, like the Flesh Terrors. You want the Flesh Terrors, give them that. So they get an upside, they get a downside. Maybe they get 2 upsides. They get 2 upsides, that's ridiculously overpowered. So we're going to be here for a while trying to work out what this book actually offers. But honestly, custom chapters is brilliant, and I love it. But can we get it outside of Space Marines too? Can we build a regiment, build a clan, build a sept, build a craft world? I don't know. Custom, more customization. 8th edition has been described, I think, someone said it to me last night. 8th edition has been described as a fantastic pick-up and play experience. And they've really got that nailed down. So allow you to customize stuff and make your own rules and play with the lore and forge the narrative. Yes, everyone, that old chestnut of a line is coming back. It's apparently brilliant. Its meta is apparently quite messy. So it's just going to get even more messy. So for someone like me, who is a quote-unquote filthy casual, I love all of this. Am I worried about the meta? Yes. Am I concerned about Space Marines being the only ones in the game to get any customization? Yes. But it might not happen. One more point though. We're now in the era of supplements, specialist attachments, and customization out the wazoo. What does that sound like to you? Change the word specialist attachment for formation, and you have 7th edition. Ooh, this will be interesting. How can the 8th ed rule set hold up to being played like 7th edition, where you've got codexes everywhere, supplements everywhere, and now you've got FAQs everywhere on top of that? That is a concern that we have to keep an eye on. Is the game becoming too bloated again and going down the route of 7th edition, where it just got bloated to all sin and basically unplayable? Will it end up like that? Don't know. The specialist attachments are nowhere near the level of formations in terms of brokenness. So, one to watch, I think. One to watch. I'm going to skip through this because it's a Kill Team starter box, but it's actually just a rebox, because these two kill teams already exist. It's Advanced Team Star Pulse, which is Tau Fire Warriors, and the Fangs of Ulfric, which is some Primaris Reavers of Space Wolves. Those boxes already exist, so skip. If I really care, I might buy the Star Pulse team just to get a little bit of cheap terrain and make my last Fire Warrior team that I want for my Tau army. I don't know, I might just buy some and start collecting, that's easier. Now, final thing for the day is this little teaser. I'm not going to play it here, but go and watch it. It's a really short, it's only about 35, 40 seconds long, and it's a trailer talking about a psychic awakening. And the symbol that comes up is a slightly modified variant of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica symbol. So, this has led to rampant speculation. Some people think, oh, we're getting an Astra Telepathica Codex, which means we'll get Sisters of Silence, maybe we'll get some new Psyker units, like Wordbound Psykers, Sanctioned Psykers, Primaris Psykers, and more psychic stuff as more Psykers pop up across the galaxy and more things are needed to contain them, to make them kind of an alternative to Custodes, because, well, the Sisters and Custodes came out together, then the Custodes got a Codex, so now we get the Sisters a Codex. Cool. The other thing that's being tossed around is that this Psychic Awakening is going to lead to the idea of 40k getting endless spells. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Personally, I'm kind of anti the idea, because the endless spells in Sigmar make a lot of sense, because they're conjured from the magic of the mortal realms themselves, and are very specific to those mortal realms. And the faction-specific ones are, again, very specific to the factions. However, all of the magic for 40k, or the psychic power, comes from one place, and that's the warp. So you're going to have a very limited roster of endless psychic powers, if any, because of the fact that they're all drawing from the same power source, as opposed to 8 different winds of magic. Can you maybe harness different power of Khorne and Tzeentch and Nurgle and Slaanesh and Undivided? Maybe. But I'm very curious to see what they actually do, because this is affecting every single faction. So even if we just get an Astra Telepathica Codex, there is more going on here than that, because it affects every faction. And when you're a non-psychic faction like Tau or Necrons or Drukhari, what does this Psychic Awakening mean for you? We'll have to see, and I'm interested to find out. Will it be good? Hopefully. I just hope the lore is interesting and the gameplay isn't too broken. And that, I think, is everything. So, that has been my thoughts on GenCon and the Warhammer 40,000 preview. I realised that if you did watch the stream last night, you probably heard some of these thoughts already, but I wanted to get them out in a more sort of sit down and talk condensed form, although I've been talking for over 30 minutes. Good grief, well done me. So overall, GenCon, great. The Warhammer 40,000 preview, a mixed bag. Maybe that's because I'm not super fussed for Primaris. I haven't got a problem with them at all. I think they're quite cool. But those new units don't do a lot for me. The Dreadnought, the Rhino, the Impulsor and the Invicta do nothing for me, really. Tigurius does absolutely nothing for me and kind of sucks. Kharn looks brilliant. And the Codex is very interesting. And it sets a precedent possibly going forward for supplements and general changes in how the game is built, with supplements and more specialist attachments and more unique customization if they spread this across all factions. And with the Psychic Awakening going on as well, who knows what that will entail. I'm very interested to see what that is, though admittedly I'm not as interested in that as I am in some of the upcoming developments for Sigmar, so you can sort of see, maybe that's just my biases though, because Sigmar's lore is probably not more interesting, but has more scope, and 40k's lore has to play by a bit more of a specific set of rules that when you start adding in psychic powers going wild, you have to sort of handle it with a bit more tact than Sigmar does. I don't know. I'm interested, but I'm not like run away, carried away, give it to me now, because I don't play psychic factions and that almost leaves me kind of scared. But that is just my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you excited for the upcoming specialist games or for the new Space Marine Codex? What do you think of the new miniatures? What do you think of the idea of supplements and more customization? Are we going back to a 7th edition age, or is this going to be done differently, and how are they going to handle it? And what about this Psychic Awakening? What do you think it's going to be? What will it entail? How will it affect the non-psychic factions as well as the psychic ones? Always interested. So, thank you very much for watching. This has been Tactica Imperialis, and until next time, I will see you all again. Bye for now.